Okay, good. Well, welcome everybody to the Committee of the Whole meeting for February 23rd, 2026. I'll take the time to acknowledge that we're in the traditional territories of our friends and our neighbors, our Treaty 8 partners, the Fort Nelson First Nation, as well as the Prophet River First Nation. We recognize our treaty, we recognize the rights within that treaty, and we also celebrate the contributions and enduring presence of the Métis people in our region. Please be advised that tonight's meeting is available to the public to attend virtually, is being streamed and recorded. Are there any council additions to this meeting? Staff? No? Okay. Is there any public who wishes to make any comments? None in the room, any online? No? Okay. Everybody's okay with the agenda the way it is? Okay, so we have somebody, David Coates is a partner with Ion Designs, here to talk about the downtown identity and wayfinding concepts that they've put together with the steering group from the municipality. I sit on that steering group, and I think they've done a pretty good job. I mean, I'm not a color and concepts kind of guy, right? I'm a more of a building kind of a guy. What kind of but there are a lot of people on that committee who have had some pretty good opinions with respect to color palettes and design concepts. And I think they all did a pretty good job working with Ion to put that all together. So I'll turn it over to you, David, and I'll let you present it. Thank you very much for coming tonight.
Thank you. I'm just going to try and share here. Candace and Sean, I don't know if you want to turn your video on and audio. So you have myself and Sean Bouchard and Candace Pawson. We're all going to present sections of this, and I don't know if you all have had a chance to look through it. I know it was late Friday when we posted this up, so yeah, working till the last minute there. First, I just want to say thank you for hiring our firm to produce this strategy. It's been a exciting and interesting project. Had a few delays on the way, but I think we're in a good spot now. Just in terms of what we're going to cover, we'll try not to take up too much of your time. We want to just give you very, very brief background on the process we've been through so far. Take a look at where we're at with the refinement on brand and wayfinding recommendations, as well as environmental recommendations. And so then give you an opportunity to give us any feedback or discussion. And obviously we will, in the next steps, we'll give you an opportunity to take some time with the presentation and give feedback on your own time. Just a note that there is a link here to the original creative presentation, which has the full strategy and all the directions that we presented last August. So I'll pass this over to Sean Bouchard.
Thanks, Dave. So just really quickly, Ion was engaged last year to develop a wayfinding identity and wayfinding plan for Fort Nelson. And the project was building on the work that was already done for the downtown revitalization plan, which focused on enhancing the downtown's vibrancy, accessibility, and attractiveness for residents and visitors, as well as the goals of the Northern Rockies Tourism Strategy and Action Plan. In June of last year, in 2025, Ion facilitated two well-attended community workshops, which explored Fort Nelson's character, attributes, and stories, and those were done on site at the community center. There was a follow-up engagement sessions done. So a survey was created, which invited input and participation from those unable to attend the workshops in person. And there were also several pop-up events held in the community, as well as a session with council. And in terms of the strategy and creative, the data that all of these engagements generated gave us the directions for creative and drove our strategic approach, which you will see shortly. In terms of the project stages after the work over the summer, we with our initial strategy and creative, which, as Dave mentioned, is linked earlier in the presentation, was presented to the working group on August 12th. And subsequent to that, we had feedback provided to ION on October 14th. And we have worked through a refinement presentation, which was presented to the working group on January 16th, incorporating that feedback. And then finally, we had two subsequent feedback meetings with the working group. One was on January 28th and February 5th. And these meetings were, from our perspective, very positive. We had great feedback on the refined direction. And today, what you're going to see is with minor work based on that feedback incorporated into the presentation. And you will see that finalized and the refined brand and environmental strategies. I will head back to Dave.
All right, so first we're going to talk a little bit about story themes before we start looking at some of the branding and wayfinding concepts. So what we've tried to kind of incorporate here is incorporating that iterative feedback we've heard from the working group, refining the color palette and accessibility, but we also wanted to approach how we're laying out these kind of guidelines for wayfinding and the communications in terms of story themes. So if you go to the next slide there, Dave. So we're trying to build a system for which Fort Nelson can build upon and tell their story. So to do this, we have high-level story themes that we want visitors to recognize immediately without much effort, such as look up, there's the Northern Lights, look out at the wildlife, and kind of look back at culture and history that has uniquely been shaped by your specific location and your climate. From these story themes, we hope that you guys can help define some more granular type of stories that you can kind of push forward through visual elements that might, go in deeper depth, such as like maybe folklore around the Northern Lights, maybe conservation, dog sledding, and kind of get a nice lineup of trivia and stories and fun facts that kind of makes it a fulfilling kind of experience for visitors to immerse themselves in. So looking at the brand, we have looked at color palette, as mentioned, fonts, different illustrative elements that are going to help bring these story themes to life, all with accessibility in mind, and making sure that everyone is able to see and read these quite easily. So the logo pulls typographic inspiration from the historic signs found throughout the town to past influences from the U.S. Army and Hudson Bay with these blocky kind of serifs. The rounded features are soft and welcoming, and the tagline identifier, stretch, wander, and stay a while, accompanies the logo where needed. This call to action not only acknowledges that most of your visitors have been on the road for a while, but positions Fort Nelson as a place to enjoy rather than just a place to refuel and then leave. There's quirky animals standing on two legs that visually depict the sentiment of kind of getting out and stretching, and they have a humanistic and kind of funny value to them as well. Customization of the O better reflects the historic typography of the original Mile Zero signs before the highway construction. Spacing and additional iterative changes have been made to increase the logo's readability, especially in smaller sizes. And we've also typeset the Northern Rockies Regional Municipality here using the same kind of logo type. Should it be expanded further? So inspiration for the color palette is derived mostly from your environment. So looking at the greens and the deep purpley blues inspired by the Northern Lights, greens of the forest, blues from the skies and the rivers and lakes, and yellow, orange, and red represent the sunsets in the autumn season. The refined color palette took additional colors from other options throughout this kind of process and increased the saturation to make sure that legibility and accessibility is kept in mind, especially for wayfinding signage. So looking at the animal set, these quirky animals have kind of a humanoid appearance, so like I said, that are used in the call to action logo. We've hoped to kind of see these being used as different iterations of different animals, so you can kind of get a lineup of the different type of wildlife that represent this unique area. They provide a sense of humor and quirkiness that make them memorable, and their simple shape makes them ideal for small spaces. The fun animal characters have been extended into a full set of wildlife representing the region, which you'll see throughout the applications. In addition to these icons, there's also some more detailed silhouetted type of illustrations. These are used mostly to reinforce those high-level kind of story themes in a visual and memorable kind of manner. These illustrations provide a more realistic depiction than the animal icons to create a diverse range of applications that don't look like they've all been applied with the same kind of rubber stamp. The silhouetted illustrations shown during the concept phase were expanded and refined to create a more comprehensive set of illustrations. And they've been used sparingly to kind of highlight these high-level story themes that we've been talking about. So these postage stamp illustrations were something that originally kind of was thought of as using for wall murals. And we've kind of taken and incorporated these animal icons with, unique places that can be seen around the Fort Nelson area. And they provide a focal point for each of these, environmental scenes with those animal illustrations. We looked at using the color palette to show the full range of colors by exploring different seasons, different times of day within each scene, and representing specific locations that tourists and visitors might be drawn to. So Muncho Lake, reminding them of the Auroral Zone, and Demonstration Forest, the Heritage Museum, and you'll see some additional environments along the way. But these animals within these scenes kind of hint at spectators to notice the animals that they will encounter throughout the environment and represent these landmarks like a monument at the museum or maybe hint at different folklore that can be built around these. So here's the first concept of showing the more silhouetted, detailed illustrations in situ. This is a poster style artwork that describes what makes Fort Nelson unique. These kind of treatments are used in very large scale, such as a wall building side, and not only provides kind of an interesting wall treatment that adds color to the environment, but also reminds people of what makes Fort Nelson unique, where they can find specific things, or for instance, what time they can expect to find some different areas of interest. The application provides opportunities for quick visual storytelling, and there's a mix of type sizes to ensure readers that are maybe on the road are able to see a message, or maybe readers up close are able to see something a little bit closer up. Further refinement of these assets reused as poster style within different kind of large scale applications with those same kind of story themes of look up, look out, and look back. In addition to the poster style large format applications, we also have used those stamp concepts of different locations that we want visitors to pay attention to as wall art throughout the town. They could initially be done as vinyl treatments, which is much more economical to get started, especially in areas where maybe they're positioned higher up because there might be cars parked in front or to the next screen. But for areas that maybe are down lower, they utilize a local painter to, have a real textural kind of experience, which is a much more lovely kind of application for photos and kind of social media kind of moments. Another use of the stamp art that we see is providing kind of small souvenirs to people that come through. Old school machines that were once used for stickers in the 90s are kind of becoming a popular kind of novelty again. And artists have been reusing these machines to provide and sell kind of miniature artwork. To the next page, Dave. So making these kind of prints that, commemorate, these interesting places that they can find within Fort Nelson, provides them a small souvenir that they can take up with them that's easy and compact. And this year application kind of provides a look at how we see maybe beautifying areas that maybe are under development, or maybe it's a vacant lot, and providing an opportunity to inject color into the environment, but also inject kind of the storylines and the story themes that you want visitors to be able to encounter as they're making their way through town. Next slide, please. So these perforated vinyl hoarding is a cost-effective solution to, kind of beautify these vacant lots. You can see there's the different kind of story themes that we've talked about: looking out, looking back, and looking up. And use these silhouetted illustrations, such as the buffalo, the sled dogs, the bear, and the moose, combined with those more scene-appropriate stamp illustrations that depict certain areas for them to visit. Facade covers are another area that these applications might be used. For instance, buildings that are under construction that provide kind of a nice way to display artwork, maybe at a very higher level, and then at a more lower level down at sidewalk view, you have messaging that's for people that are walking past, that displays things that they can see, trivia, or even directions on how to get somewhere. Concrete barricades also can take some of these high-level themes and make them a little bit more simplistic to inject color again into the landscape. Waste bins utilize the stamp illustrations and wrap 3 of the 4 sides to create kind of a panoramic landscape. And again, another opportunity to show kind of your uniqueness and personality in something that is not so pretty. So next we're going to look at wayfinding and how that's kind of been refined and the intent of the specifications. So the Gateway Monument is something we're recommending refacing the existing Bear Gateway. To update this, the kind of primary bear shape is kind of blocked out in a solid color, so provides better contrast and form to topography. And increases the legibility of the logo. The Auroral Zone is something we've kind of coined as being a unique, something that can kind of be drawn to Fort Nelson because of your unique positioning in the area. And then also the historic Mile 300 can be sandblasted into the concrete base. This is the Town Hall Monument. We recommend replacing the entire Town Hall monument with a new integrated 3-sided column. The 2 sides that face the street are common and incorporate like a digital display. Each side has the locations or the businesses or offices that are located within. But then the back side that faces the parking lot is another opportunity to use some of those illustrations. And we've used the translations for both the First Nation and English language to show some uniqueness in the the area that you guys live in and the people who represent it. The facility and park signs use the Northern Lights artwork motif to carry forward that Auroral Zone slogan from the Gateway. Wood posts rather than a concrete base keep the sign more economical. And the sign is raised over grade to allow for snow accumulation. Clean sans serif font is used with the wayfinding to ensure maximum legibility. And a more condensed nature of the font also allows the type to be as large as we can, kind of make it without sacrificing a width of the sign. Next is the vehicle direction signage. So these are signs that are, for vehicles passing by. We've used kind of these outlined iconed arrows to kind of clearly point out which direction people need to be going to find where the airport, downtown, hospital, those kinds of things. And directional signage for pedestrians utilizes some existing infrastructure. Not only is this reusing what you have, but it's a much more economical approach to make sure that these signs can get, produced and out within the landscape quite early. These metal signs are a cost-effective solution that can be placed in a variety of different areas. And since attractions are grouped together quite closely within town, we've grouped these based on how many minute kind of walk a person would need to encounter to reach these areas. Not only does it save space on the signs, but it quickly illustrates to the reader that a short walk has many benefits. The stay a while call to action adds some fun to these signs, and it fits in well with the mode of travel to these locations. So we're wanting them to get out there and walk around. And again, the large arrows and high contrast color stands out while making them easy to read. These are also directional signage for pedestrians, but these ones are a little bit of a different kind of approach. So in addition to having directions on them, they also kind of use a bit of the interpretive signage approach where there's a bit of a description about the amenities that people are going to expect in addition to the directions. And these we recommend placing in areas where there's high traffic of people, where they're not maybe, typically coming into contact with all of these amenities. So places near hotels and sleeping amenities, or maybe gas stations. And the photos at the top of these signs, we hope to use real photography of these places so that it piques, the visitor's interest as to what they expect to see when they arrive there. These are interpretive storytelling pillars. So these kind of signs are, to show different story themes that you would like to kind of get down to that more granular level. So each kind of these panels, there's 4 sides to each one, allows a lot of different visitors to kind of congregate around a single sign and be entertained all at once. The strength of this option is displaying a lot of quick facts, trivia, and kind of short stories. And the blocks offer a visually interesting format that allow for many colors. The kind of idea with each one of these sides is they have a similar story theme. So this first one here in purple, you can see is all about the highway construction. The green one is all about indigenous tufting. The blue side's all about the history of dog sledding. So it kind of gives people an area in which they can kind of jump into the story about each one of those topics without necessarily reading everything. They can kind of pick and choose with what they would like to consume. This is a large interpretive storytelling sign. It's a second option. Both are available to Fort Nelson to use. However, the strength of this sign is it's a larger kind of format. So this approach breaks down content into smaller parts. So you've got kind of like your main story theme and then different kind of parts of that same subject broken down within the sign. The sign takes cues from the height of the reader. So large type, kind of content is placed up high, and smaller type is placed more at the person's visual kind of range. So they're not having to strain or crouch down to consume content. These are trail marker signs. They hold a smaller footprint than most of the other signs, and they use the same primary directional color that we've used, purple. Anything that has to do with direction is within this purple color scheme. And they have this dark color doesn't distract from the natural environment, but it offers high contrast for easy reading. We vertically typeset the names of the trails here, so it allows for that content to be displayed as large as possible, especially when trail names can be quite long. Kiosk signage should work to make content as large as possible and easy to understand. This is reusing a lot of the infrastructure that's already available at the beginning areas of trails. We've shown here kind of icons and clear instructions to show how park rules can be delivered in a bit more of an approachable way. Using as kind of a softened approach and a bit of humor, can be an effective tool to educate visitors. So, for example, no alcohol is very direct and clear. We've added keep it sober, but grab a drink in town. Adds a bit of personality and softens the delivery and tells the audience what they can do. This less authoritative approach is more likely to stick in visitors' minds and be remembered. This is a set of all the wayfinding within the system here together. I'll pass it back over to Dave here. I think your page broke. I'm not sure what's on there.
I think that was the mapping. I'm not sure why it's broken. So we've done locations map of the town based partially on the existing work that was done with the revitalization plan, as well as adding nodes where we think it's important to get signage in place. So that'll be in the PDF or in the link that Lisa sends you after the meeting. So in terms of environmental, we really want to encourage people to slow down and experience Fort Nelson, whether they're on foot or on wheels, or generally just appreciating the character of the area. We really want people to linger, and we want people to feel safe and comfortable and engage not only with the environment, but also with the art and culture and what's available with local merchants. We really recommend narrowing streets slightly and adding additional green space to create a more welcoming people-first environment. Widen sidewalks lined with trees and planted rain gardens not only add visual interest, but provide shade and improve comfort and walkability, along with supporting stormwater management. The use of stamped concrete sidewalks introduce texture and character, reinforcing a distinct sense of place. And traffic calming measures serve to slow people down and appreciate the environment, and strengthen connections between the streets and the sidewalks and public spaces. Wood has been used extensively in both heritage buildings and in new construction, such as the Fort Nelson Secondary School and the R.L. Angus School. We really want to maintain Fort Nelson's small town character by utilizing these warm materials, but also adding some color and interest from the new brand palette. Additionally, limiting building heights, as you know, ensures new development remains human scaled and visually connected to the street. And timbers and wood textures, perhaps paired with stone and other cladding elements, are warm and suggest a kinship to the environment. What we're recommending is leaning into mass timber construction. It has it's deeply embedded in the architectural language of northern communities. It allows contemporary buildings to feel modern but still be grounded in place, and the wood adds warmth and tactility, and really connected to the landscape. Obviously, it blends well with the natural environment, and also with economic and cultural realities of Fort Nelson and the broader northern British Columbia context. Fort Nelson is historically shaped by forestry and natural resources, and mass timber reflects that legacy while repositioning it toward a value-added innovation. And rather than exporting raw materials, mass timber represents a higher value, forward-looking use of regional wood fiber. Northern BC's long winters and temperature extremes demand a durable, high-performance building system, and mass timber offers that strong structural performance and excellent thermal characteristics when paired with high-efficiency envelopes. and can also be suitably prefabricated, which is a bonus when you're working in communities with short construction seasons. Communities across BC are pursuing climate conscious development, and inherently mass timber embodies that. For a northern community closely connected to the land, this type of construction resonates symbolically and materially with stewardship values and responsible resource management. Not just a construction method, it's an economic strategy and a sustainability statement for Fort Nelson. In terms of materials, they really have to meet, as you know, the standards of durability and performance. We're looking at wood, concrete fiber siding, brightly painted stucco, aluminum, or other time-tested materials. Awnings can be expressed in canvas or through exposed structural steel, but they have to be engineered or angled to be able to shed snow or support buildup. We've really enhanced the palette using dry stacked stone, wooden corbels, or aluminum composite panels that are super durable and very low maintenance. And these are all creating a flexible and layered system that feels rooted in history, but with a modern touch. In terms of public gathering spaces, we really designed these as a central gathering space where people come together, and it fosters social interaction and connection. Adding seating, picnic areas, games, public art, or sculpture enhance the experience, creating a real vibrant multifunctional space that invites relaxation, play, and engagement. Existing and future park infrastructure, we really feel should lean into shrubs and plant species that are native to the region. And I think this is also really important to the indigenous communities, given their close connection to the land. But also the benefit of that is there's a much lower maintenance required for these types of plants. They really reinforce the natural beauty and ecological character. Can be talked about in interpretive panels, and they support biodiversity and those reduced maintenance costs. One thing that came up recently was the First Nation Fort Nelson First Nations arbor that they've recently built, and utilizing an element like this or several in these public gathering spaces would really bridge that reconciliation gap. They're durable, they're beautiful, they have access to the outdoors from above, so you have viewing areas for the aurora and that sort of thing, and really tell a good story about the partnerships and the history of the area. And again, additional indigenous elements could be incorporated through stamped concrete, sculpture, and intentional local plantings. One of our really important goals, we feel, is to connect the community trail through the boulevard between 50th North and the highway. And this space could really become something that's special for the community. It has high visibility from the highway. It would facilitate a circular route around the town, and provide a lot of these public spaces that we're talking about. Again, looking at this ditch that's along there right now, we could build that into a bioswales that promote ecology and rainwater mitigation. We've done some research. This is in terms of street furniture. We've looked at Canadian companies that are doing work with sustainable materials. Typically, what we're looking for is things that are ultra durable. They may not be wood, they might be composite materials and steel and that sort of thing. So this is maybe taking a more modern approach than the mass timber, but we really feel it fits in terms of creating a kind of a modern but historical aesthetic. So that's a whole other process in terms of procurement of those types of things. So we'll keep working through that. So that's our presentation for today. If any of you have comments or feedback you'd like to share now, we'd be welcome, or you can take this away and give us feedback later on.
Does council have any comments or questions? Or
I just have one comment. First of all, I like a lot of what you've presented. I think some of it, as a very long-term resident person here, I find some of it impractical, but that, yeah, I won't make that judgment until I put my head around it more. One thing that I did notice, though, that in fact, it's on the screen right now, bears never look up. And in the winter, especially, the season that they're looking up at the aurora is they're sleeping in a little ball under the ground. And I noticed that right away. I think that a more appropriate looker upper would be a sled dog or a pack of wolves or something that actually does look up. Anyway, just a simple comment.
anybody else?
Okay. Yeah, I really enjoyed the themes, the colors, some of the potential here. I think it's a great start, and I'd like to explore more of this for sure. I think there's a lot of potential too for online engagement, and some of the images here could make great animations, very simple animations for video content and advertising to tourists. So yeah, great job.
Yeah, my compliments as well. I absolutely love the colors. I love the concepts. Like I really love everything about it. I truly do. Like, it's very rare that I don't have something constructive criticism to share, but I really don't. Like, I just, yeah, I absolutely love it all. And I wish we had money to put it all into practice immediately. So yeah, well done. Thank you very much.
So I believe it's a testament to the work of the committee, right? That it's a good committee that represents a wide variety of people in the community, and and it wasn't without some struggle to get to here, right?
Yeah, I was going to give a nod to the committee because they really have been providing a lot of feedback, and yeah, it's a testament to them that we've gotten to this stage. But we're very proud of the work, and this is obviously a very long-term plan, but I think some of our solutions, like refacing the gateway sign rather than replacing it, is a quick fix. Some of the using infrastructure for wayfinding those little signs, that's something that isn't going to be expensive, but will really provide a dramatic effect, or wrapping the garbage cans, that sort of thing.
Yeah, so it's, I think maybe one of the key pieces that was said early on that's easy to sort of skip over is the fact that it's a system, right?
Mm.
It's a system. Like, it doesn't have to be the bear looking up,
Yeah.
right? That just happens to be.
I saw the moose looking up too, so
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
You know, so it's a systematic approach that future councils or, if we have somebody particularly who's assigned to this, can start picking and choosing and putting designs in front of us when it comes time to actually start pulling it all together. And that's what I like about it is it's like having a deck of cards and you pull out whatever cards you need at the particular time. And yeah, I think it's good. And as Councilor Goering says, it's a matter of money and moving these themes forward. And yeah, so with that being said, maybe Dave, you can talk about next steps.
Do I have a slide? Look at that.
Yeah.
I have a slide. We will share, or Lisa will share the link. I think you already have the PDF, but the presentation link can take you to the initial presentation if you're interested in going into the strategy and that kind of depth. Some of our reviews of other communities and things like that are in there. So if you have lots of time on your hand, it's a great read, and there's some videos and stuff in there. So we'd appreciate any feedback you might have. We don't have a hard timeline on this, but we would ideally like to be complete by the end of March. We're coming up close to a year that we've been working on this project, so we would like to get it to a stage where it's a final deliverable. That's not a hard deadline. It's just we're really anxious to get into doing the guidelines and preparing the final document. So if we could give you a week or so to get back to us with any feedback.
How will by the end of I guess that is a week, by the end of the month, yeah.
Yeah, end of the month is a week. Scary.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, it appears that everybody is satisfied with that kind of time frame. And if you don't hear anything, I mean, you've got some basic thoughts already, right? So if you don't hear anything, it means that everybody's pretty comfortable with it. That's the way this council rolls for the most part. You'll hear about it right away.
Sounds good.
Okay.
No bears looking up. We got that.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't always
Yeah.
have to be real.
Well, sure they do. They go trees all the time. Anyways, we're not going to debate that. So thank you, David, very much. Appreciate your presentation today, and yeah, we look forward to the final deliverable. So thanks to you and your team for coming tonight, and thanks for working closely with the committee.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yeah, bye for now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
That was really good, man. Oh, it must be getting stopped in that day. Yeah.
Murals and covering that.
Oh, yes, like
It's something.
when I was in Europe and saw all the buildings under construction, they all had the wraps on them, like all of
And
them.
those aren't very
They're
hard or
phenomenal.
expensive.
Yeah,
So one of the debates around that is the stamp idea. That there was a lot of kind of debate around whether the stamp is the right thing or not, but that's where the committee decided. But that's something we can give thought to as we move forward. Oh yeah, no, I'm talking about the stamp design for like the big mural. Yeah. Yeah, the stamp design was definitely something that the committee had mulled over and over with the big sort of mural idea. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, next thing on the agenda is a review of the investment reserve funds for discussion. So Tony's here, not feeling very well, but prepared to come in on the meeting to talk to us about it anyway. So Tony, I'll turn it over to you. Thank you very much for coming. I know you're not feeling very well.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. No, indeed, it's been not one of the better days. In October 2025, I brought forward a draft of this policy. And shortly after the draft, before we were able to bring the final forward, Municipal Finance Authority had some comments and suggestions to include in the policy to make it more wholesome and to provide better guidance in terms of investment for the municipality, rather than leave this information out and leave it vague. So ultimately, NRM is responsible for investing, reviewing our requirements and enacting any portfolio changes. MFA provides the permissible pooled fund options. They also provide guidance on portfolio structure and support policy and portfolio reviews, and are available to work with us as we need them. The policy itself still prioritizes preservation of capital, portfolio distribution, return on investment, and liquidity, and also identifies measures to deal with mitigate fraud, employee error, and third-party misrepresentation. And I believe that's what my comments on the revised policy. I can take any questions.
Thank you, Tony. When I see this striked out sentence under policy that says the municipal finance authority shall be designated as the NRM's portfolio fund manager for the investment of, I sort of knew that we were responsible for it and they're there to guide us. And I think when we left this the last time, understanding what we could invest in was going to be added on once we started a more fulsome relationship with MFA. And I just see they wordsmith this a little bit to take their responsibility out and put the responsibility on us, which is what you had intended. I'm sure that's what you had intended. So looking at the old wording and the new wording, really that's all they've done is clarified that, and then added in the authorized funds that we're allowed to invest in, which I thought we'd get to eventually anyway. So I think I think it's good the way it is, and I'm certainly comfortable. Council, anybody else have any? Danny, I know you work with MFA.
I just remind us as a group what leads to wanting to go with MFA as opposed to the many years of, I mean, as far as savings accounts, many years of using the chartered banks as the source.
Essentially, it's diversification.
Yeah. Okay.
So it allows the MFA has a much broader pool of investment options as opposed to banks.
It does, and given the amount of funds that we're holding, we don't want to have it all in one place, essentially.
Yeah, and I would just also say that having sat in the MFA meetings for quite a few years, they do have a very wide range of skill sets in their group. Very fascinating to see some of the bonds and that have been developed over the last 10 years that are reflective of the values of communities and so on. So I think that it's a very good opportunity, and it's very good to be given the responsibility so that you learn how to manage your own finance, or instead of, even in the chartered banking world, you don't have near as much option of determining the investment and how it works, because that's their job. Whereas we as a community, this is sort of like having your own community forest or something, where you learn as a community how to manage your own forest. This is like that. It's so as long as we develop a really good relationship with MFA and take advantage of their counsel as we go, I think that this will be a very good and a very good fit for investment for us.
Anybody else?
Yeah.
Councilor Going? Deputy Mayor Going, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Tony, I don't know if I'm just not understanding this or if there's a word missing, but on page 3, under investment denomination, it says investment shall only be denominated in Canadian and the speculative currency investments are prohibitive. Is there a word missing, or am I just not understanding the sentence? Canadian funds, Canadian dollars, or just Canadian?
I should add the term funds.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And if I will note that the language also that was provided to us indicated that we could have included investing in US funds if we had a use for it. So for instance, if we were going to purchase a large piece of equipment from the US and we wish to invest US dollars, we could have included that. I have left that out. My preference is to secure Canadian funds.
Yeah, which may become an option later, fire trucks, for instance. I mean, you can get a Canadian fire truck, but your best, oh, so not your best, your greatest variety, I guess, of options needs to include American fire trucks, which are extremely costly. And so if you've got American funds already, you're not doing all the exchange and that sort of thing. But yeah, I had one question. One of the one of the last things we did when I sat on the regional district, the Peace River Regional District, is they hired a investment manager. And I'm just wondering sort of where the line is, because I to tell you the truth, I just can't remember whether their investment was so large that it made sense. Or I'm just wondering if you've talked to them at all with respect to sort of the need for an investment manager and when that need starts to become real.
That we're using the expertise of MFA as our investment manager. And I haven't spoken with them yet about that. It's possible that it is the amount of funds or the desire to make those decisions totally in-house. Some municipalities do.
Because you'll be as the designated person in this policy, you'll be operating that off the side of your desk, right? And at some point, sometimes that, so whether it's the volume of cash in the accounts, or whether it's the volume of trades that get done, or the volume of information that's being shared with respect to the different vehicles that they use for fund investment, all of that starts to take work. And yeah, it would be just interesting to hear their take on that, and maybe talking to Sean to see, what motivated them to do that. Yeah. Okay, that's all I had. Anybody else? Okay, so this policy will come to us at a council meeting sometime for.
Yes, absolutely, at the next council meeting.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Get better soon.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, there's no additions. Is there any public online that has anything they'd like to question us? No? No. Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you very much.